past 6 years.
Oh no. Hopefully you're all good now.
Oh, there's 2 more.
Okay.
That's about it.
Hopefully
Interesting.
you'll be good soon. All right. All right. Anyone else? Who's next?
All right, there you go.
Oh, Jackie, you spotlighted me. And I can share my screen. Cool. Yeah. All
Yeah,
right.
they changed the setting button to, it used to be called make host and now they call it something spotlight or like make a spotlight. So
Okay.
oh, you're on the spotlight, Mark.
Well, if someone else turns their camera on and talks, will they also be shown, or is it always just going to look at my forehead? I hope not, because it's a big forehead. A lot of wrinkles.
Yes, if you can encourage everyone to turn on their webcams, this is going to be an interactive
Cool. So
session.
if someone turns their webcam on, like Tim just mentioned about his situation, everyone was able to see Tim, yeah? Okay. All right, who's next? Jessica, tell us something about yourself. You gotta unmute yourself first, then.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Hello, Mark and everyone. I'm new to the real estate industry, so I'm really excited to join your training. The net, I think, is very popular in your company. Yeah, so excited. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us, Jessica.
Thank you.
All right. Harish, say something for the good of the order, please. Introduce yourself.
Oh, this is Harish Parekh, and I just joined the company just a few months ago, and I need to start learning about, MLS and how to start the business with buying and selling, because I find, who are buyers and all, but I do not know how to proceed with. So I need to have a meeting with you, and this Ignite might, give me some understanding how to do what to do. So all my frustration goes away and I can
hope
start
so.
my business.
I hope we can meet your expectations with Ignite and that we are able to help you.
Thank you.
And I'm sure we will. I'm sure we will. Thank you and welcome
Thank you.
to the class. Eric, you with us? Is Eric with us? Sometimes you guys are busy or working on other things, have this going in the background. I encourage you guys to pay attention and participate. I think you'll get the most out of it. Absolutely get the most out of it with your active participation. But if you have a situation where you have a secondary job or something where you can only listen, yeah. So Eric can only listen today. Thank you for letting me know, Eric. All goes well for you. Megan, please introduce yourself and share.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Megan. I just started my real estate business this past end of July. And a fun fact about myself is, yeah, I've been teaching prior to real estate for about 7 years. And this is a completely different route for me, and I'm excited to just get into it.
Awesome. What did you teach?
Preschool and Montessori.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe you can come to this side of the table eventually and start teaching some classes for our agents.
Yeah, definitely.
It's yeah. Hopefully more attentive than preschoolers. You never know sometimes. Welcome, Megan. All right. Tim.
I went already.
Oh, you went already. Okay. Sorry. I think you may have 2 windows open. What's that?
There's another, yeah, there's another Tim. Tim
There's
TM.
Oh, sorry.
Hello,
No,
this is Ten.
yeah,
Tim
Tim.
Hi. Are we introducing each
Yeah,
other?
just say who
Yeah, we
you
are.
are, how long you've been in business, and something fun about yourself.
Yeah, so I just started last week, actually.
Welcome.
I just fill out the paperwork. So this is probably the closest that I ever been with real estate.
Nice. Welcome. Ulysses.
Hi there. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ulysses. I've been in the real estate for 11 years and I'm still learning.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Vilma, please introduce yourself. Vilma, are you with us? Hopefully, Vilma, if she's not with us, she'll join us soon. Robbie, are you with us?
Hi. Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, hi, yeah, I'm actually, I'm a pre-licensee. I take my test tomorrow and I've just kind of been sitting in on a bunch of things, just kind of seeing how things are working, going along and stuff, and just kind of getting familiar with some of the folks over at KW and just kind of looking forward to kind of a new career path.
Awesome, welcome. Tell us something interesting about yourself.
Gosh, well, I'm a electrical designer here in Sunnyvale, and we do like a high voltage substation work and do some modeling and stuff and kind of high tech and stuff. It's a lot of fun, but definitely just interested in getting into something new, and hopefully you know it pays off in the future.
Sounds good. Well, welcome, Robbie. Welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Melissa.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Melissa Embry. I started in real estate April 2019.
Welcome.
I
And
think this is my
tell
third.
us something fun about yourself.
Oh, fun.
Or
Well, I
interesting.
my third or fourth Ignite now.
Mhm.
Always learning. Something interesting, I guess, is I was well, I still am a model actress for the last 20 years. I started as a child in the entertainment field and brought real estate into my life. It seemed like a great fit, working with my sphere and working with people. So yeah, so I started real estate a couple years ago.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Thanks, Mark.
Tabitha.
Hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Tabitha Loiza. I've been in the business, a realtor for 3 years, but prior to that, my background's accounting. Then as I worked my normal job, I had to work a second job when I got divorced. So I started staging. And that's how I became a realtor. This became the next evolution. Becoming a stager, I was introduced to some incredible agents and brokerages, and this is what I wanted to do. I went to Intero, got some great training here, and then came to KW and started my own business. And I'm doing excellent being here at Keller Williams.
Awesome. We're very happy to have you. And thank you for participating in Ignite. Guys, most of us are, or most of you guys are going to be new, but we do have some agents with experience and some agents that have taken this course before. And one thing you guys should consider as your career grows, and we're going to have several courses, several training opportunities. We have Ignite, we have Bold, we have a variety of different trainers that come in and out of our offices. And I'd encourage you guys to participate. And you know, even if you've done it before, sometimes it's good to take these classes with a different instructor. You get different perspectives. And sometimes there's a lot to this business, right? So sometimes you might miss something. And when you take it again, you can capture that and still progress. So Ignite is basically a course of classes that was designed by Keller Williams University to get your career in gear, to get it going. Okay, it's divided into two sections. Section 1 is Spark, and Section 2 is called Elements. And Spark is designed to kind of get you into appointment setting mode, right? Get you into a scenario where you're regularly setting appointments. And then the Elements section, which is the second half of the class, or the second half of the course, is more designed or more aligned to help you work with the clients that you have. how to participate in the process of actually buying and selling homes. You've made the appointment, you've built rapport, you've got a client, now what? Right? And how to take people to the finish. So hopefully, you know, within the next 30 days, that's the goal, is to get you guys into a situation where you're actually in contract and are actually in the business. Now, one thought that was shared to me when I first started, and I've lived by this, I think maybe you guys should take this into consideration as well, but you want to consider yourself being in the real estate business, you must have an appointment with somebody to discuss real estate. If you don't have an appointment with someone to discuss real estate, you're not in the real estate business. That's the bottom line. So that being said, right, Spark is our coursework geared towards getting you to that appointment and getting that appointment done. So every day, as you guys progress through this, we'll have a session where we'll have some education and instruction. We'll talk about scripts, dialogues, and different methods that you can use to help grow and build your business. And then the second part of it is actually implementing and going out into the field and doing, right? We talk about making calls, we'll arm you with some scripts, things to say, but then it's up to you guys to pick up the phone or open up your laptop or do whatever it is you've got to do, and then start communicating with your prospects. We can hopefully get them on down the road. So yeah, the goal is hopefully in a couple of weeks, we'll establish the core activities and habits to help you build a foundation for your real estate career. That's the goal. And then as you go through, guys, we'll have different instructors, different takes. You'll see me more than most of the others. So I fill in here and there. But try to understand and get something out of it. And then also, you know, participate in the process. You know, make your calls. If you make your calls, you go back to the next session with challenges, because making calls is challenging, right? It's easy to pick up a phone, but it's not necessarily simple to convince someone to buy or sell a house with you, right? So when you do that, we have challenges. You bring the challenges to the group here. We'll help you overcome those challenges. So that way, when your next session of calls can be more productive and more successful. If you don't make the calls, you don't come to the group with challenges. And if we don't come to the challenges, we can't help you overcome those challenges, which will keep you stuck in a rut, right? So the most important thing, guys, is to take action and make sure we're doing the things necessary to help build a good foundation for our business and help build our business so that it's a good business, right? All right. So just again, we'll talk about our curriculum for the day, and then we'll talk about going through and actually holding each other accountable to get into business. All right. So why are we here? We're here to learn. We're here to learn what other people do every day, right? Successful people do every day. This isn't a new business, right? We're not pioneering anything. We're not developing any new technology. We're not developing any new solution to a problem, right? We have a great solution to a very existing long-term problem, but this business has been around a little bit. The good news about that is other people have already pioneered this business and have established kind of a path, if you will, to take. And hopefully by following the established path, we can help build your business to a certain level of competency, right? Once you get the basics and your core competencies down, then you can add your own element, your own flair, if you will, your own uniqueness and unique selling proposition to then take you from stability into incredible abundance, right? So what we teach here in most classes is to get you build that foundation, and then you use your own talent and expertise and energy to build it on top of those established foundational models to make your business extraordinary, okay? So we'll get into and talk about what successful agents do every day. What do you guys think successful agents do every day? What do you guys think? You see a successful agent driving a fancy car, wearing a fancy suit, looking really good. What do you think that person does every day?
Lead gen.
Lead gen. Absolutely.
They have a schedule.
You think they schedule their lead gen time?
Absolutely. You have to have a schedule. You got to control your day, not let your day control you.
Control your day. Absolutely. That's a great thought, right? Because in this business or many businesses, things come at you left and right. There's a lot of distractions. A lot of things will take you away from your goals. So it's important that you set up that element of control for your business. Set aside the time to lead generate and stick to that time. Don't let things distract you. What else, guys? What else do successful agents do every day? We have a cheat sheet here in front of you. What else? I mean, if you think of anything other than what's on here.
Script practice.
Tim, you had something you want to say?
Oh, it's follow up.
Follow up. Right, generate those leads and spend some time following up on those leads. Absolutely. What else?
Keep practicing scripts. Every day you got to talk about real estate. You have to have the client needs confidence in you that what you're saying, you have good information. If you can't trust yourself, they're not going to trust you. So keep talking about real estate to anybody and everybody and say the right things.
That's it. You're good. One thing you mentioned I'd like to emphasize is practice scripts, guys. Practice, practice, practice. No, not everyone likes to practice, right? Everyone has that island itis. Practice. Talk about practice. But think about it, guys. Even professional athletes, right? Or anyone that performs anything at a very, very high level. They spend the majority of their time practicing. Very short amount of time actually performing. Because the performance is important. And I would say that our performance for us here is incredibly important, right? What's a commission worth? $20,000, $25,000, $30,000? Right? That's the reward for effectively taking someone down the path, right? So in order to do that to the best of our abilities, got to practice. Got to practice those scripts, practice what to say over and over and over again so you can say it perfectly, effectively, to be able to get prospects to trust you and work with you. Absolutely. Practice, practice, practice. How do we do? How do we practice scripts? Or how do we practice what we do? Right in front of a mirror, grab an accountability partner. You know, something I would challenge each and every one of you guys to do, to think about over the next couple of weeks, is how are you going to practice? And who you're going to practice with. It's a good idea to make a connection with one of your fellow students here in the class. Schedule some time to do that. All right. Every day, successful agents do these two things, guys. They grow their business and they run their business, right? You guys know the difference between those two paradigms, growing a business and running a business? There's a book written by a gentleman by the name of Michael Gerber. The name of the book is called The E-Myth. You get a second version called The E-Myth Revisited. It's a very easy read. I recommend you guys review that book because it will kind of outline the difference between working in your business and working on your business. Right? So when we grow our business, I would say we're doing things to work on the business. And when we're running our business, we're doing things, but we're working in our business. A lot of times, people get so wrapped up working in their business that they ignore working on their business. What ends up happening is they don't grow. They don't grow. In any business, there's only two things that businesses do. They either grow or they die. So if your business is not growing, sorry to tell you what's happening to it, right? It's dying. So as we grow our business, the number one thing is we lead generate for buyers and sellers. We make presentations and we get listings. We preview real estate. When it says lead generate, obviously that's pretty direct, right? We're generating our leads, we're making our calls to grow our business, to get more business. But we have to make our presentations, which means we got to set our appointments and deliver those presentations. But the delivery of the presentations is more on the right side, it's on the running of the business. Making your presentations is what we do to have a nice presentation so that we can convert our prospects into clients. Right, how are we going to convert this listing to sign with us? How are we going to convince this buyer to work with us? Right? Working in your business, running your business, actually delivering those listing presentations. When you get the listing, marketing that listing for prospective buyers. When you get that buyer, showing houses to those buyers. Negotiating for your buyers and sellers. Right? Managing transactions. Managing your vendors. Because no one succeeds alone, guys. And I hate cleaning windows. So I'm doing it at my house. I'm doing it at anybody else's house. Right? So you have to, but do the windows need to be cleaned in order to get top dollar for a house? Yeah. The work needs to get done. If you're not going to get it, if you're not going to do it, then you got to find someone to do it, right? We've got to get our vendors together. And my entire career, I've kind of branded myself as the Burstein Group, where most of it, I've really been a single agent. But what's the group? Where's the group? Well, I have a group. I have my transaction coordinator. I have my title rep that helps me with the escrow process. I have my inspectors that will walk through the house and see everything with a fine-tooth comb and their expertise, right? I have my lender who can come up with the money for any of my buyers. So you have to have your team that will facilitate these transactions and help things go down the road. Right? Going to set goals for yourself, compliance and risk management, uploading documents into command, things of that nature. Attending your training. That's what you're doing now, which is awesome. Getting coaching, which is important too. I have a coach. I've been doing this for 20 years. I have a coach still to hold me accountable for my business and growing my business. If you look at any, again, I'm big into athletics and sports. So if you look at any professional athlete, right? Do you have an athlete without a coach? The best golfer in the world. How many coaches does that guy have? You'd be surprised, probably 3 or 4. So think about that, making sure you're getting the training from the appropriate source that makes you feel comfortable and helps grow your business. And number 9, you want to manage your money. Very important. Reasons that most businesses fail is they fail to manage their money properly. Not adequately funded to begin with, not properly managing their finances to sustain their growth over time. That's what we do in our business. So what do you guys think? Any other items that are missing here that we can think of to help to help grow a business? Thoughts, concerns?
Don't be afraid to ask. If you're having a situation with a buyer, seller, or a rebuttal you don't know how to answer, ask your broker, ask someone that's been in the business, but usually ask your broker. I know I've come to Mark many times and I've never done Ignite. So thank you. I've been here, but I've never done Ignite. I didn't know about Spark. So thank you. But but make sure you ask the questions because they'll guide you. And with every scenario, you'll get better, but you're going to get a lot of rebuttals, don't know how to know the answer. So don't answer something you don't know, but come to your brokers or come to someone that can guide you.
Absolutely, guys. It's one of the most profound things I heard Gary Keller say when I first heard him speak. He said this, he said, guys, you got to know what you know. Also got to know what you don't know. And you have to know the difference between the two. I've never had a client get upset because I didn't know the answer to a question at the top of my head like this. Never. If you don't know, it's okay. It's okay to say, I don't know. Let me find out and get you the right answer. That's 1,000 times better than you making stuff up off the top of your head to satisfy what that probably is, could be. Because if things go sideways and you lose that trust, guys, it's 30 grand is what it's worth, at least. 30 grand, at least. You have 3% of $1 million commission is 30 grand. $1 million sale. So it's important. It's important. All right. So what is Spark, guys? Spark is the initial session, series of classes to help you structure your business to build appointments and book appointments. That's what Spark is. We're going to start with your sphere of influence. Understand who those people are, right? We all have a sphere of influence. We all have people in our lives that will take our calls and listen to our advice or hear from us or care about our day or care about us, right? That's your initial sphere of influence. We're going to talk about the tools. Know where to go to get what you need to answer the questions that might come your way. We'll talk about preparing for success. And then we'll have some recap in the house. So today, that's what basically we're going to talk about is our orientation. And then we'll talk about our daily success habits, right? What things do we have to do every day to help build our business? There is a video here I will play, and hopefully you guys can hear. If you can't hear it, let me know. Can't hear it? Okay, good. Thanks for letting me know. Now we'll figure it out.
I think in share screen, you click on it. There should be like a, it says advanced and then there's sound.
Share sound. There we go.
Hi, I'm Gary Keller. This course will allow you to get off to a fast start you can build on. Because if you repeated the principles every 90 days for a year, believe me.
Can you guys hear it?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, we can.
NC?
Yes.
Have an awesome first year. And just as important, you would have built the foundation and momentum for your entire career. It is practical, realistic, and easy to apply. It's about the fundamentals that determine your level of success in the business of real estate. From our research with top agents, we have found that they too started their careers with these fundamentals, and they continue to do them along with their teams to this very day. And it's not hard. It just requires a little focused effort, a few hours every day. Now, there is really just one way to achieve the goal. It's lead generation. Now, other skills are important, yet without leads to work with, your skills won't mean a thing. Dealing with business never takes precedence over what? Finding business. Never. Research shows that top producing agents make lead generation their #1 priority and the one thing they make sure they always get done. You can do this. And when you do, you will get the leads, the relationships, the experiences, the career, and the income that you want and deserve. Go get them, and good luck.
Cool, guys. What do you guys think? Gary Keller came on and we all fell asleep. What happened?
I know, I like what he said about the every 90 days, be consistent and you'll see the results.
I think it's good. He put income last on it because without all the other steps, you won't even get the income. You have to have the relationship, the lead, and everything.
Right.
I think it's specifically in that order for a reason.
What does Gary Keller say should be our #1 priority? What's our #1 priority, guys? What's Gary say?
Lead generation.
That's it. Lead generation. It's your #1 priority. That's the business we're in. We're in the lead generation business, guys. Nothing else about your business will have as big of an impact on it as the number of leads you have. And this is absolutely 100% true. Guys, when you have an abundance of leads and new leads coming in every day, you get to do something really, really cool. You get to flip the script on the consumer. What does that mean? When you have an abundance of leads, the consumers are no longer choosing you. You are choosing your consumer. Does that make sense? Right? You are choosing the consumer. When you're begging and pleading for the consumer to choose you, and you have no other leads, you do something that no one likes to do, but sometimes we have to do in order to eat. Sometimes you have to make concessions. But if you have an abundance of leads, do you have to make a concession? I'll speak at once. Right? A concession is something like, oh, I saw an ad from Redfin that will give me most of their commission back. Will you give me your commission back? And if you have no leads and no other source of business, and the person sitting in front of you is the only way that you're going to get a deal in the next 3 to 6 months, it's a different conversation, right? As opposed to consistent lead generation, when the prospect sitting in front of you is asking you for a discount, and you already know that you're meeting 4 new buyers tomorrow, and you only have room for 1 more buyer in your program, do you have to give the person a concession? No. If they give you a headache, do you even have to work with them? No, because you have an abundance of business. You have an appointment book that's full of new prospects coming into your life every day. When you have that, that phenomenon goes away of people trying to reach into your pocket. The phenomenon of taking a listing you don't want to take. Right? The guy doesn't want to offer a commission. The guy doesn't want to price the property well. The person doesn't want to clean their house. They don't want to mop their floor. They don't want to make their bed. But they expect you to sell their house for 10% more than it's worth. Is that a listing you want to take? If you have no listings and you have no prospects, then you do what you do, right? You take the listing. But if you don't, I mean, if you have an abundance of listing appointments, then you don't have to, right? Your kids are going to be fed. Someone's going to sell their house out of the 5 people I have in my database that I'm meeting with tomorrow, right? But if you're not meeting with anyone tomorrow, then you're gonna have a problem. And you're gonna have a tougher time. You have a tougher time. So the skills that you achieve or that you gain, right, don't mean anything without the leads to use them on. So what's the most important thing, guys?
Lead generation.
Lead generation. Very good. Gary wrote a whole book about it called The One Thing. What's the one thing that if you do, makes everything else unimportant or obsolete? That's lead generation. It's true. Because if you have a bevy of leads, you have an abundance of leads coming in, even if you can't physically, personally handle them all, right? You can always refer them to another agent and take a referral commission. But if you have no leads coming in, you can't do that. And ideally, the most successful teams that we have here, right? The team leader picks and chooses who he works with. Everyone else goes to his teammates, and they still successfully pick and close. But those team leaders are actively, generating new leads, so they can be in that position to pick and choose. Right. So here we go. We're going to build your foundation for success, guys. Include your daily habits. Your daily habits are the things that successful agents do every day, including lead generation. So the first 2 weeks here, we're going to work on that. We're going to work on Spark. It's your incubator for success, where you'll learn how to set a successful mindset, lead generate, and then get the confidence of a seller or buyer in your first appointment. And then after learning these foundations and developing some successful relationships in Spark, we're going to move over to Elements to learn the skills you need to take those appointments to a successful closing. So here's more about generating leads. Here's more about taking leads through the process and taking the successful closing. But keep in mind, whether we're lead generating or working with people, every day you want to continue with your daily success habits. And those daily success habits are your 10-4. We'll talk about that. All right. So when we talk about lead generation, talk about setting appointments, we got to figure out who our target is, right? Who are we going to go after? Who are we going to meet with to talk about buying and selling real estate? I would say the first people that are most likely to do business with you or refer you business are those that are closest to you. People that you know, that care about you, already know about you, who you are and what you stand for, because they've worked or interacted with you in the past. You don't have to win them over in that row, right? And they're accessible. You already have should have their information. But I would say, if you take your phone, put it away, or any access to information or data or your database, just start with a piece of paper. And the people that you can write down on that piece of paper, their name, their phone number, and their email address off of memory, are probably the people that are closest to you in your lives. And the greatest chance of getting your first deal, either directly with or referral from, would be from those people. Focus there first. After that, then you can pick up your phone and add all those people that are not as strong of a relationship, so that maybe I don't know their number off the top of my head, or their email off the top of my head, or how to get a hold of them off the top of my head, but I know them, they know me, and we're going to build our relationship with those people. That's what we go through next. But really, you want to start with your sphere and the people that are closest to you. My first 3 transactions, my best friend bought a house. Luckily, he was ready to go. When I got my license, I got him in escrow within 24 hours of getting my MLS key. That's my claim to fame. My next one I had was another very good friend of mine, and then my mom was my first listing. From there, you know, we sparked other transactions, but initially that's where it starts. So who is your sphere of influence, guys? Who is your sphere of influence? The people you've already met that know, trust, and respect you. Therefore, they're likely willing to help you. People like to do business with people they know, trust, and respect. And people also generally like to help each other. Right? If someone calls and says, hey, Ted, I need your help, or hey, Ulysses, I need your help. Those three words, I need your help, kind of get those ears perking up. Oh, you need me. You need something from me. You need my help one way or another. People get excited about that. When you're asking someone for help, usually they're excited and willing to help you out. And especially your sphere of influence, right? You just go walk through the mall and ask strangers for help. Yes, someone will help you. But they may be busy. They may be on their way to doing other things or in the middle of their own problems, right? But if you stop your mom and ask her for help, she'll drop everything she's doing and help you out, hopefully. Or your best friend, or your child, right? Or your spouse. So, right, we talk about the people that we know off the top of our heads, and then we want to go back into our phone, right? Get those contacts, go into social networking, get those contacts. Right, after our memory and our phone, where else can we go to find the people that know us? Maybe not off the top of our head, but nevertheless, with a slight reminder, they'll know of who we are and what we want to do. What do you guys think?
Churches, past organizations, work, old co-workers.
Yep. Co-workers, absolutely. Where do we find our old co-workers these days?
LinkedIn.
Yep. Get on LinkedIn. Find your own co-workers. So we've heard organizations, co-workers. Where else? Where else can we find our sphere of influence?
Church, gym, yoga class.
Yep. Recreational activities. Gym, yoga class. How about your kids' recreational activities? Right? Kids' soccer team, kids' baseball team. I know some of you guys like to drop your kids off at practice and not interact with any of the other parents. Guys, those days are over. Welcome to your new job as the team mom and dad. I want to get as involved as possible so we can meet as many people as possible. Love it. Any other ideas where we can find a sphere of influence?
Dentist, doctor.
Yeah. Allied professionals that are in our lives that help us one way or the other, dentists, doctors.
Hair salon.
Hair salon. Hair salon people are great, guys. You know why they're great? Hey, they do okay for themselves, especially if they're self-employed and they're building their business. But the one thing about hair salon people is they have a huge sphere of influence, right? If you have a good hair person, they're usually booked. You can't just walk into their business and expect service right away, right? I set my hair appointments, believe it or not, can't really tell. Sometimes like a month in advance, right? So it's safe to say that our hair people know a lot of people. Probably.
And they talk to them. They talk, you know, when you get in the hair chair, at least for us ladies, I feel like we talk. Oh my God, I'm buying a house. My kids are graduating.
You talk about all the most important things, right? In your life that help your family grow and contract. Kids graduating, kids growing up, having kids, all the great dates you're going on, if you're single, so forth and so on. Everyone chit chats with their hair person. You gotta train your hair person to refer you business. Where else, guys? Where else can we find people for our sphere of influence? Now, we've mentioned one social network so far is LinkedIn. Any others?
Oh, obviously Facebook. Have we not touched on that?
Surprisingly, this is the first time I've heard the word Facebook in our discussion today. But absolutely, your Facebook friends list. Absolutely. Anywhere else?
Instagram.
YouTube, TikTok.
Now we're just mentioning social networks. Although important, YouTube and TikTok. Well, TikTok maybe. If you already have your base and your followers on those platforms, yeah. Absolutely. So just to recap, guys, your phone is a great place to find your sphere of influence to begin with. Well, number one, your mind, right? Who do you have in your brain? Whose name and email address, because you interact with them so often as it is, right? That's level one. Probably your A+ clients are going to be from that list. Right, then we go through our phone books and our phone. Talk about our allied professionals, dentists, doctors, hair people. Right, any fun classes that you take to grow yourself outside of your profession, gym classes. If you have kids, their sports teams and activities. Like if you were the parent that dropped your kid off at dance class and didn't participate with any of the other dance moms, you're missing out. When you had your previous job as an engineer, you didn't need to be friends with all the dance moms. But now as your new job as a real estate broker, you need as many friends as you can get your hands on. Right? So there's a myriad of places, guys, you can go to establish your initial list of potential buyers and sellers. And throughout the course of our relationship with our potential buyers and sellers, by staying in touch, we learn about their lives and what they're going through. Right? If you jump to page 8 in your participants guide, you'll see this lovely graph here. If we say that, the average person moves every 8 to 10 years, right after a move, the likelihood they'll want to move again is at its lowest point, which is at the bottom of the graph there. But over time, as things happen in our lives, little benchmarks, those little dash marks you see crawling up the line there, right, build up our reasons to possibly consider making a move again. Then when you hit the top of the wave there, that's when the person moves. So these benchmarks kind of things, hash marks, are events in people's lives that change, that could change their position, if you will, and increase their likelihood of making a move. What are those events, guys? What do you think? What are some things when you're talking to a sphere of influence person that they can say about their lives that would trigger you to think that, hey, This person might be thinking of moving soon.
My wife's pregnant.
Wife is pregnant. Absolutely. What does that mean? Family's growing.
My kids are going to college.
Kids are going to college. Congratulations, you have smart kids. And a couple of empty rooms. Want to rent those out, or you need a smaller house? What else, guys?
Divorce.
Divorce, absolutely. Divorce, marriage, the other way, right?
Would death be one?
Absolutely.
Retirement.
Retirement, absolutely. And on that note, what about a new job? Right, someone lost the job, gave the job, definite triggers to might incite a move. What else?
Relocating for a job.
Job relocation, we'll do that. Anything else?
Just got married. Engaged and
Just-
married.
The married was on the list already, yeah.
Oh.
Right. So if you take a moment, guys, you come up with 5 or 6 names from your sphere of influence, think about it, and place those people on the chart. Did those people just move to put them at the top of the chart? Or have they been there in their home for a while? Who might be thinking of moving soon? All right, you get 5 or 7, 5 to 6 people from your sphere, apply them to this model, and understand, who might be thinking about moving sooner than someone else.
Hey, Mark.
Yes.
So these are all great ideas and questions and places to go. So I think everyone on the on the call appreciates that. But how to not come across as that creepy realtor friend of like, oh, you're just talking to me because you're a realtor because you want to sell my house. Like, how do you not come across like that guy or girl?
Right? How would you feel if your friends only called you if they wanted something from you, right?
Exactly.
Right? Would you feel like they cared about you? No, probably not. So how do you do that? How do you call somebody? How do you do that?
Well, when you're a busy individual with potentially, lots of things going on in your life.
Right. Well, you still want to call and connect with people, right? If you're so busy, you don't call your friends. Say what's up. Usually, a lot of times we'll have something in our lives that'll trigger it, right? Either you have weekend plans, someone's birthday, something like that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I mean, if you want to stay top of mind and you want to be their realtor of choice and consistently and not come across as someone that only calls when they need something, you have to call all the time, not just when you need something.
That's it.
Right? So if you have to build, you have to maintain and build that relationship. So not every call with your sphere of influence, might revolve around real estate necessarily. But you still need to call and talk to people and ask them about their lives. And then if something triggers that real estate conversation, then take it there. Now there's ways to do that. There's conversational strategies that you can leverage to help that seem more natural, if you will. We'll talk about those in a minute. right? But ultimately, if you want to stay top of mind as the realtor of choice, you have to maintain that relationship and call, not just when they are ready to move, but throughout their whole home ownership process. And then you have to come up with solutions that'll kind of help them in their journey of home ownership over time. So it's important to have those vendors lined up. If you want to make sure you have a good handyman. So if you're calling someone and you're doing your calls and they're sharing with you that something's broken that they don't have time to fix, well, you be the solution. Yeah, I can send my handyman over. You can solve your problems. Okay. So even if they had just moved or they're not likely to move again, maybe in the next year, right? You still want to call them and build that relationship. And how do we do that? How do we build that relationship? We have a script. You guys heard of this before? The Ford method? The Ford method is a conversational method, if you will. Kind of goes through a conversation, talk about the important things in people's lives, and strengthen the relationship. This is a great script to build to go through with someone you don't know. I'm sorry. It's a great script that you can work with people you don't know. It's a great script that works with people you know as well. And probably the simplest and easiest, I guess, conversational strategy. What does Ford stand for? Family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. And that's basically the guideline to your conversation in your sphere of influence call. Mr. Prospect, how's your family doing? How's your mom? How's your dad doing? How are your kids doing if they have kids? If you're doing a good job with your database and taking notes, which you should be doing on every call. Now, in this case, I will say note taking and keeping tabs on people. You know, if you have less than 50 people in your database, you don't need to take notes. You can probably keep that stuff straight. But once you grow your database to 300-400 people, it's much more challenging. And that's why we have tools to help us. The big tool we have here to help us is command. If you're not losing command and using a different CRM, that's okay too. Just use one. But you can make sure to keep your conversations relevant. And if you have good notes, it'll make it easier to move down the road, right? If you're asking about someone's family and they're telling you about their kids' soccer games, well, when you call them next month, ask them about the kids' soccer games. You're asking about people's family and they're telling you their mother's ill, blah, 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 or something, their father's ill or their mother's ill or something negative in their family, right? The next time you call them, ask them about it, see how it's going. The way to do that is to keep notes about your conversations. Right? You want to ask them about work. How's work going? If you know what they do, you can be more specific. If you don't know what they do, you're talking to someone new, ask them what they do for work. Now, the cool thing about conversations, guys, is they're usually a back and forth situation, right? So you ask somebody a question, they'll typically answer the question, and then what will they do? In many cases, after they answer your question. If it's a conversation, not an interview, right? If you're interviewing someone, you're asking questions, they're giving answers, you're asking questions, they're giving answers, right? We're not having an interview right now, we're having a conversation. You're calling someone to say hi, right? Question is asked. There's usually a response to that question. And typically, after the response to the question is typically followed by the same question back to you. everyone understand how that works? It's like, hey, how you doing? I'm doing good. How are you? Right? That's the first example of that reciprocity that we see every day. Right? If someone asks you how you are, you turn around, hey, how are you? Very, very similar in our dialogues with our sphere of influence. You're asked about their family, they'll ask you about your family. You ask them about work, they'll ask you about work. You ask them about what they're doing for fun, they'll ask you back. You ask them about what their future goals are, what they'd like to achieve, they'll ask you back. When they ask you back is your opportunity to share with them and ask them for business. If they don't ask you back, then either work it in or reconsider that relationship. Because when you talk about people and you care about, you want to know about their lives. If they care about you, they want to know about yours. If you're talking with someone who obviously doesn't care about you, you should probably remove them from your database and find different people that do, and you will. Caring is something people do naturally. Most of them. Are you guys good with this? Do we understand the Ford method? Does anyone have any questions about the Ford method? I either explained it so comprehensively that it's outstanding, or you're all asleep. One of the two. Are we awake? Has anyone tried this before? Maybe in another occupation. Or do we understand?
Yeah, I had this acronym before. The only thing difference is the D is motivation. So it's family, occupation, recreation, and motivation. It's very similar to that.
Yep. Guys, when we're making calls to our sphere of influence, do we want these to be long conversations or short conversations? If you have 100 people you have to call today, do you want those calls to be long or short?
Short.
Short, right? So by having the structure to your conversation, really, you're going back and forth on 4 questions. This conversation should take no more than 3 to maybe 5 minutes max.
So Mark, what's a good answer when someone's like, okay, here's my job, here's what's going on. How's your job? What's going on with you? And you're like, hey, I'm frustrated with my buyers, how do you go about that?
Well, number one is you're never frustrated with anybody.
Oh, right, of course.
You have happy buyers and they're all making lots of money. When people ask you about your business, you tell them about your goals.
Goals, okay.
Right. Well, I'm really excited. I just got into this business. My goal is to help I would like to get my first client within 60 days. And that's what I'm really, really focused on right now. If I can find someone that wants to buy or sell a home in the next 60 days, that's my goal. Do you know anyone that wants to buy or sell a home? Help you out. Yes, I know someone, or no, I don't know anyone. Okay, great. And then just move on. So when people ask you about or you ask about their occupation, hey, I just got a promotion at work, everything's going really well. How's your work going? This is your opportunity to let them know that, hey, you just joined a new company, you're excited about your new career. You want to set a specific, maybe share a specific goal. I just got my real estate license, working with an awesome company, Keller Williams. I'm excited to help someone buy or sell a home if you know anyone that wants to buy or sell. Or if you know anyone that wants to buy a home, sell a home, or invest in real estate. Same with recreation, same with dreams. Dreams is a great, or motivation, another great way to share your goals. Really focused on trying to make it to Europe next year. Love to share Italy with my daughter. In order for that to happen, I know I have to sell about $2 million worth of real estate. So if you know anyone that wants to buy or sell a home, I'd love to get a hold of them. I'd love to have you introduce us. In order to get referrals, guys, you have to train people how to give you referrals. If you don't train them how to give you referrals, you're not going to get referrals. Simple as that. How do you train someone to give you a referral? Well, what's the referral? What's the process of getting a referral? All right, someone needs to be introduced. You need to be introduced to another person. There's two ways that happen. Either they call you or you call them, right? The they call you method is, oh, Mark, I just handed your business card out to 3 of my coworkers who thought about buying a home. Hopefully they'll call you. Awesome, thank you so much for thinking of me and handing my business card. Unfortunately, although a lot of times people have great intentions to reach out and call me, they usually do so when it's too late. Go to an open house, they get railroaded by somebody else, and they're getting into a situation they really don't want to be in. And by that time, it's too late. The best thing to do would be to get your friend's permission and then reach out to me with their contact information. Get their permission, share with me their contact information. I will follow up for sure, 100%. That's the way to get referrals, guys. You need them to give you the contact information so you can be in control.
Mark,
because you will call. Go ahead.
What if they share just like an email address, like, you know, hey, I'm just trying to connect you via email. Is there a way that you could follow up to a phone number would be nicer, or, you just use email?
You can use whatever you like. I mean, email is good too, as long as you get the permission, right?
Okay.
So, oh, cool. Great. This is their email. Are they expecting my email? They are. Okay, great. Send out email. Are they expecting my email? Well, not yet. Okay, great. Could you do me a favor? Could you give them a call and let them know I'll be reaching out? And if they have a problem, call me back and let me know not to reach out. If they don't have a problem with it, I'll be reaching out.
Cool. So you reach out and you don't get a response. What would you do next?
Put a note to call back the next day.
Okay. What if you don't have the phone number?
Or to reach out again, from whatever method it is.
Okay, cool.
And follow up every day until they either tell you to stop calling, or they change their mind, or they're ready to rock and roll. But statistically speaking, I mean, NAR keeps track of these things. It takes about 4 attempts to reach someone before you, on average. 4 attempts to reach someone before you have that conversation. So it's very common for them not to answer the phone. It's very common for them not to call you back even if you leave a message. Very common. Doesn't mean they don't like you. They just don't know you yet. So you got to keep calling. Try different times of the day. If you can't get them in the morning on Monday, call them in the afternoon on Tuesday. Call them in the early evening on Wednesday. But just keep calling until you reach them. The biggest mistake agents make is they only try once. Twice. If you try twice, you're only halfway there. You got to do it at least 4 times. So keep that in mind, right? This would be true of any type of referral, whether it's a referral from a sphere of influence, someone that you know, or maybe you're buying leads from one of these lead buying places. Still, even if you're buying leads, You call the bot lead, the chances of them answering the phone and talking to you are pretty slim on the first try. You're going to have to call them a few times. Keep that in mind. How do you guys feel about the Ford script? You guys want to practice? Practice on one another? I think this is the only time we kind of lose our little aspect of these Zoom calls as opposed to being in person. How would you guys feel if somebody called you out of the blue? An old friend. You guys get those calls every now and then? How do you feel when you get those calls? Feel good about it? Or if it's a conversation, it's a personal conversation. If it's about them, I don't think they'll mind at all. How can you be mad at someone that calls you and asks you how you're doing? Right? So keep that in mind when you're making those calls too, right? Obviously, the side product is to have transactions, to have referrals, to get them to work with us, right? That kind of falls as a product of these calls. But the main purpose of the call should be just to catch up and strengthen your relationship with your peoples. So with every call, remember to call, go through the Ford script. The goal is to identify them on their wave to see if they're a candidate for moving soon. Obviously, their direct business is the #1 desired outcome. If the need does not exist, you can't force that need, right? Hey, I just bought a house. I don't need to move. Well, if they're not going to buy or sell a house with you, maybe they know someone that wants to buy or sell a house, right? So you still want to have that conversation for the hopes of getting a referral. So the first goal of any conversation is direct business. The second goal of the conversation is to generate a referral. If that opportunity does not present itself, the third goal of the relationship is to strengthen your relationship. How can we strengthen the relationship? Maybe offer a service that's useful. Right? What could be a useful service to someone that's a homeowner? What could be a useful service to homeowners, guys? What can you help them with? As agents, as realtors, as professionals being in the home business.
The value of their home?
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely. We can share with them a value of their home. Are you concerned about the value of their home, Mr. Seller? Or Mr. Prospect, if you will. One of the services I offer to my sphere of influence and people that care is a monthly email of local real estate activity so that you can feel secure about the value of your home. Would that be of interest? Yes or no? Yeah, it's a great interest. Great. Set that up and we'll send it out. You set it up, you send it out, you follow up. Did you get my email with the home value on there? Great. Do you have any questions? No or yes. Handle those questions and those objections. By the way, why did you ask? Are you thinking about making a move? No, I'm just curious about the value of my home. Okay, cool. Do you find that valuable? Yes, I do. Do you know anyone else that would benefit from this type of service? Do you mind introducing me to other homeowners that want to feel secure about the value of their home? I'd be happy to call them and give them an analysis. Right, so you get a referral. You get a referral for a variety of things, right? Number one, obviously, if they have a direct need to buy or sell, that's ideal. That's the referral number one. But also, we want to be introduced to new people. We need to grow our database. How do we grow our database? Well, we have to have a compelling offer to get people to come into the database. So you guys have to think of a reason. Why would people fight over each other to jump into your database? What are you going to do for them that'll make it silly for them not to be in your database, right? So you have to make a list of the benefits. What's the benefit of being in your database? Think about that, guys. Think about that. Or we mentioned that, or talked about it a second ago. Right, what's the biggest one? What's a benefit for being in my database? Well, you always feel secure about the value of your home. You can always reach out to me, and I'm always going to provide an honest answer about that value, or any ideas that we can implement to raise that value. Right, I'm an expert at maximizing home value. So what can we do to maximize your home value? Do you know anyone looking to maximize the value of their home? You guys see how that kind of works? What other useful services can we provide homeowners? We got the value. What else?
Contractors.
Contractors, right? Things break, don't they? By nature, they do. So we need help fixing them. So we want to make sure we develop our database of trusted and reliable contractors who are by nature not trustworthy and unreliable.
I'd say that's kind of an oxymoron.
Right? Which is why reliable contractors are so valuable. But aside from just the contractors, what about the process in and of itself? Right, we want to counsel people on the proper process. I know with regards to contractors, I've had a contractor do an awesome job at a great price for one client, and then you refer them to someone else, and it's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Night and day difference. The price is 3 times more, they're twice as messy, and they don't return anybody's phone calls all of a sudden. Okay? It's an inconsistent business in general, the contractor business. So it's important for us to have a few. Always have a few. And just general rule of thumb, never recommend one. Never recommend only one, because then it's your fault if it doesn't work out. You recommend 3 or 4 solutions, 3 or 4 contractors, 3 or 4 different ways of doing something, then they choose which way to do it. It takes the responsibility a little bit off of you and puts it back on them. So it's important, guys, to have that list of reliable vendors that we can leverage to help our clients. But ultimately, right, we want to have solutions to problems. So we can solve the problem of the value, solve the problem of this estimate. Is this estimate a problem? You guys know what his estimate is? Mr. Agent, I don't need your opinion of value. I just go to Zillow and get his estimate. What do you think about that? It's a great topic of conversation, guys. Zillow is inaccurate as hell. But they're out there. The clients know it. They can easily go there and see it. But if they mention it, well, how do you know it's accurate, Mr. Buyer Seller or Mr. Homeowner? How do you know the estimate's accurate? But you want me to validate it for you. All right? So you always have to find a way to work your service in, even though they may already have some type of solution, right? It's like, well, I could just get his estimate. Okay. Just to let you know, by the way, last year I sold a home in Los Gatos, $500,000 over their estimate. Is this estimate accurate? Yeah. So why do you bother with that? Why is it important for you to know the value of your home? Are you thinking about selling? Take it down that road. All right, guys, before we move on from this, any questions, concerns about Ford? The Ford method or format method that we were introduced to here with the motivation instead of dreams. But just to quickly recap, guys, it's a conversation. You ask a question, they respond, and hopefully respond with a reciprocated question. And then how you respond to that question is going to determine whether they do business with you or not. How many of you guys have been in a casual scenario and you've told people you're a real estate agent? What's the next question that comes out of their mind, or comes out of their mouth? Probably 9 times out of 10.
How's the market?
There you go. How is the market? It's terrible. Having all these buyers that driving me nuts. I can't get them into contract. It's the most challenging market I've ever been in. Cool, my mom was thinking about buying a house. Am I going to refer them to this person? They just told me they can't get it done. Right? What's a good response to that, guys? How's the market?
It's great. The only issue we're having is low inventory.
And
Do you know anyone looking to sell their home?
right. We get to ask the silly question, the obvious questions. Not always obvious, right? Don't forget to ask them.
I get the, it's a good time to sell, but I don't know how to buy because there's, prices are so high.
Interest rates have never been lower. It's
That's
a
right.
great time to buy. They're giving away money for free.
How's the market? It's going really well. It's being fueled by really low interest rates. The money's absolutely free. If you want to buy a house, it's a great time. Who do you know? Guys, when's the best time to buy a house?
Now,
Yep. Really, last year. That the answer to that question is always last year. Usually. Yesterday. Best time to buy a house was yesterday. Right? Because you'd be already receiving the benefits of that home. How's the market? It's going really well. It's important. I just want to let you know that you're very important to me. So if you have a need, buy or sell, no matter how busy I am, I will always make time for you and the people that are important to you.
But maybe we're in a bubble right now because, you know, prices are so high.
Are prices high? Are they?
That's what they say. So that's what the people I'm talking to keep saying.
Why do they feel the price is high? Have they been pre-approved or pre-qualified? Do they know what that is? What's $1 million? Well, if you have $1 million in your pocket, it's one thing, right? But a lot of people don't. They need to borrow the $1 million. But what does that mean today? That's 3%. $1 million at 3% is about $30,000 a year in interest. It's less than $3,000 a month. So most people pay rent. Price still high? Know about you, but putting $50,000 in my landlord's pocket every year, that's high. So I get no benefit from that. No? You guys don't follow? You're always paying someone's mortgage, either your own or your landlord's. Yeah? No? You guys follow? Prices being high or low is a point of view. It's not an actual fact necessarily. So if the person's objection is the price is being high today, just imagine what they'll be next year. And what side of that equation do you want to be on? Because the reality is we have no inventory. That is what that is. So the people that own the homes control everything. And if you're worried about prices being high, it must not have gone out to breakfast lately. Because that's doubled for the past year or so. Which means your dollar is worth less every day. That's inflation. Right? So when someone says the prices are high, I mean, it's just arbitrary. And it's a point of view. But someone is buying them. We have more pending homes than we have active. So are prices higher or are people seeing value? What do you guys think? I think value's there. No? Yeah. And again, a lot of that too is going to be your state of mind, right? What you believe to be true is usually true. Right? If you think you can or you think you cannot, you're right. All right. Are we good with Ford?
Yes.
Questions, concerns? All right, let's move on. All right, you guys are familiar with your sphere. Let's talk about some tools that you're going to need to maintain your database and watch your career. Now we'll go over how to use the command and the contents of the Ignite Toolkit. So hopefully you'll know how to enter the contact into command and you'll be familiar with the resources available in your toolkit. Now, most of you guys, if not all of you guys, should already have your command access, right? Have you guys been able to get in and play with it a little bit? Does everyone know how to log into command?
Yes.
Everyone has their KW login credentials. You can log into command. You guys know how to add contacts? Yay, nay. What the hey? How do we do it? Just logging in myself here, and I'll share my screen once again. All right. Welcome to command. Contacts. I don't have my full database in command. I have a few, but not everyone. You can feel free to call all my contacts if you want. None of them speak English. I'm just kidding. But if you want to add a contact, you have a green little button here. It says add contact. You put their name. Joe Snow. If he has a relationship with a spouse or whatnot, you put that there to connect people. You want their email address, you want their primary phone number. Understand where you got that lead from. Right? If you got a lead from a referral, see who referred that business so you can track it. And there's two things, right? You want to mark someone as a lead or add them to your sales pipeline. A lead is someone who you have a contact record for and you want to follow up to know their intentions. So are they buying? Are they selling? What's going on? Are they just going into my database? And if they're actively buying or selling, you can add them to your pipeline.
Sorry, Mark, are they still a lead if they go actively into your pipeline, or are they marked as something different?
I would then, if so a lead is a name and number or contact information for someone that you may want to do business with or may want to do business with you, but you haven't contacted yet. So they're just a lead. Once you contact them, they're no longer a lead. Once they're contacted, then they can be evaluated and placed in the proper segment. Are they a buyer? Are they a seller? Are they just a homeowner? And if they're an active buyer and you want to put them on the pipeline as an active buyer, or if they're just another contact record, homeowner. Right. Someone that needs your monthly newsletter. All right. Well, thanks for joining, Melissa. All right. And then try to fill in as much information for them as possible, right? If they have a preferred method of contact, if they have an additional email, any other phone numbers. If they're homeowners, you want to make sure you get their address and connect with them on social media. You can put their birthdays, their home anniversaries, if they have other relationships. And a description. Met through Dawn. right? We want to have as much information on them as possible and keep those notes. That's the whole purpose of this program, is to keep notes on people and keep tabs on your prospects. And then as the number of prospects grows, to stay organized and to understand what you talked about so you can have relevant conversations and meaningful conversations in your subsequent follow-up calls. Does everyone understand how to log into Command? I hope so. So you guys are just starting your careers. This is how it starts, right? You get familiar with Command. You input your database. Start with the people off the top of your head, then add your phone list, then add your social media friends. And create a plan to reach out to them. You want to have a good two-way conversation with the people in your sphere. Ask them questions and hope they reciprocate. And then put the contacts in the Command and maintain your notes, right? You ask someone about their family, they tell you that their spouse just got a new job. Take a note. So that way you can ask them about it the next time to keep your relationship strong. Yeah. So since you start with your sphere, why? Why would we start with our sphere?
They're the people that know, like, and trust you.
That's it. They're the people that know, like, and trust you. Your likelihood of getting business from people that know, like, and trust you are pretty good. Now, a lot of you guys are new. Do you guys think you have the tools to be able to convert a cold prospect? Someone who doesn't know you at all. Right, it's one thing when you have a track record, you can show that, hey, these are all the homes I've sold, or hey, these are all the buyers I've found. So it builds your credibility. But if you have none, and you've never done it before, it's a challenge to work with people you don't know, which is why we start with our sphere. Another reason to start with the sphere is it's less expensive to reach them. You don't have to pay for their name, you don't have to pay for their email address. You should already have it, right? You're not placing advertising to make the phone ring. And in many cases, guys, when we're new, we just don't have the skills to convert strangers. Learn those skills in time. But we're not naturally born. Some of us, I guess some of us are. But most of us are not. So you start with your sphere because the greatest likelihood of success will come from there. After you win for your sphere and you're engaging someone that doesn't know you, you have a track record from winning with your sphere. That'll give you credibility. So we want to start with our sphere because they require the least amount of upfront credibility. Question came in that says, can you add and use leads from your iPhone? And I would say, well, your iPhone is a place where you store your notes. And I don't have an iPhone, so I do, but I don't really use it as well. I don't know if it's the right database to be able to keep the records of everything you talked about and then to remind you to call them again later. I don't think that the phone has that. The Command does. Put the record in Command, you can set a reminder and it will tell you to call them down the road. In fact, command will actually scrub your, not scrub it, but it'll analyze your database based on the notes that you take and suggest that you call people when you haven't talked to them in a while. Your iPhone will not do that. But ultimately, guys, at the end of the day, we want to leverage the command because it's a powerful tool. And as your database grows, you have to manage more people. And, you know, if you have less than 50, you don't need it. But with less than 50, you're not going to be selling a lot of houses. But to keep track of 300, 400, 500 people. And there's a variety of them out there. From Salesforce to Command, Top Producer, Lion's Desk, Wise Agent. There's 1,000 CRMs. They're all good. Just use one. And I say Command because it's free. It's part of being with us. And it's geared specifically towards your business. All right. As you go through Ignite, guys, there is a thing called the Ignite Toolkit, which has some really cool things in there. It's got scripts, questionnaires that you can use for your buyers and sellers. Tools to help you preview homes. Your daily 10-4 checklist to keep you on track. Buyer lead sheet to help you work with buyers. 411. You guys know what a 411 is? It's a goal setting tool. Help you guys get clarity on your goals and the things you need to do to achieve those goals. And the resource job aided table with a list of resources and the contents and the resources. Do you guys know where to find this stuff? Do you guys have this already? The toolkit? The Ignite
Yes,
toolkit?
it's also in the chat for everyone. Just click on the link that I just attached and you'll find all the materials for the entire session and series, plus the toolkit on top.
Awesome. So guys, be sure to log in and pull this information down. Make sure you have your toolkits ready for the classes. As you go through the courses, there'll be plenty of scripts, dialogues, and different helpful tools in there that can help you connect with your clients and take them down the path. All right, any questions on where to find the Ignite Toolkit? All right. All right. So prepare for success, guys. In this module, we'll go over what you can expect to learn in the Spark, review the daily 10-4, help you develop a plan for how to spend your time outside of Ignite so you can have a successful real estate business. Remember the Spark learning modules. You know, Spark, we're doing what? In Spark, we're booking appointments, doing our calls, doing our best to get people to converse with us about the real estate market, right? Ignite consists of learning modules and daily habits. First 2 weeks are for the Spark because they'll hopefully spark your real estate. So today we had our orientation. I'll kind of give you an overview of Spark, what's included in the mods. There's a lead generation model. Talk about lead generation. It is the foundation of your successful real estate business. We touched on it briefly. We'll get deeper into that throughout the Spark classes. Help you understand scripts. The benefit of using powerful scripts and practicing those scripts for maximum results. Guys, words matter. So make sure we're using the right words. To do that, we have to be scripted. Now, there's a script, a word for word paragraph of your conversation? Sometimes. But I would say for most of us, the script is just a outline, if you will. Because conversations can go left or right, right? Depending on your prospect's answers. And we're going to talk about setting up your database and feeding it, because the database is your business. We're going to focus on the 3 levels of a millionaire database and develop on working your own. We're going to talk about setting goals. Be a series on setting goals, how to use the 411 and applying the 80-20 principle to achieve your goals. Our good friend Pareto came up with a principle, 80-20 rule. You guys are familiar with it. But as it applies to real estate business, according to Gary Keller, 80% of our results are derived from 20% of the actions that we do every day. 80% of the results are generated by 20% of the actions that we do every day. Which means that most of the stuff that you do every day does not help you achieve your goals. Although necessary, not necessary to be done by you. Think about that as leverage. All right, we'll talk about value propositions. The value proposition is the why. Why do I have to use you to buy a house? Why do I have to use you to sell my house? Like, you need a one-liner to respond to that. That's your value proposition. Talk about that and how to develop that. Talk about finding and winning buyers. Teach you how to find buyers and take buyers from the opportunity to contract to close. We'll talk about working with sellers. And we'll talk about day in the life of real estate agents. How do successful agents structure their day? We'll talk about the elements in the last part of the Ignite, the last 2 weeks. With elements, we'll talk about prospecting, talk about marketing, working open houses, how to conduct appointments with the sellers, how to conduct appointments with buyers, how to make and receive offers, negotiating. We'll talk about financials. And as we go through this process, guys, we're going to talk about the daily 10-4. Powerful habits are things successful agents do every day throughout their career. So the daily 10-4 are the activities that support those habits. They're core to Spark because they'll help you get your first appointment, right? You got to add contacts to your database. You got to speak with people in your database, write handwritten notes, and you preview homes. Your database must continually grow until it's big enough to sustain your goals. But every day you have to do activities to meet new people. Ask for introductions. Or just go out in public and meet people. You prospect by speaking with 10 people that are already in your database. Having good conversations with those folks will give you top of mind awareness for a few days. What does top of mind awareness means? Top of mind awareness means that if they're sitting by their desk and somebody, or they're at a conversation at the water cooler and their coworker mentions that they were looking at open houses over the weekend, you know, your database member, because you just talked to them, has you fresh at the top of their mind. And they'll say, hey, you got to talk to Tim to help you buy a house. Let me have him call you. Or you got to talk to Melissa to help you buy a house. Let me have her call you. Right? You guys get that top of mind awareness for about 2 days after you speak with someone. After those 2 days, they still know who you are. They still know what you do, but it's not as important for them to share your business because it's no longer at the top of their mind. So you have to contact them again, get back in the top of their mind a few weeks later, or follow up with a nice note. And then you also want to be previewing homes on a regular basis. At least 10 homes a week. Why do we preview homes?
No, the inventory.
Yep. Got to know your inventory. What else? What else would we preview house?
I mean, you can also lead generate while you preview homes.
You can lead gen while you're previewing homes, absolutely. A lot of times you'll see a house that had something interesting in it that you'll connect with someone in your database like, oh, this person would appreciate this kitchen. Right? And call that person, say, hey, saw this really cool kitchen in this house. Maybe think of you. I want to see how you're doing. Damn. Kids grown? Off you go into your fourth script. But after you speak with someone, have a nice, thank you card or a card, Keller Williams card or whatever, handwritten note inside the card, kind of summarize your conversation, a couple of business cards, and off in the mail it goes. So you spoke with them, you got your 2 days of top of mind awareness, and just as those 2 days are about to wear off, they get a nice handwritten note from you, telling you how much you appreciate them, being in your database and summarizing a few things we talked about, wishing them well. Guess what? You just bought yourself 2 more days. Okay, guys, yeah, preview, know the inventory. You can lead gen while previewing. But a lot of times previewing homes will spark a relation with someone that you know. It'll motivate you to do something. So I get a lot of inspiration when I preview homes. To talk to my sphere of influence, gives me something to talk about. Anyone have any questions about our daily 10-4? I'm going to tell you this right now. It's very simple to say, hey, go meet 10 new people. Simple. Okay. Just because something is simple doesn't mean it's easy. It's a challenge to meet 10 new people a day. If you can get to the point to where you're adding 10 new contacts every day to your database, I give you 3 years. You're going to be a millionaire. 3 years. Be millionaires if you can add 10 people to your database every day. What do you guys think about that? Exciting, isn't it? Let's see here. Just lost my presentation. Let's get it back. Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. All right, any questions, concerns so far? Questions, concerns, recaps, ahas? The recap is, guys, welcome to tonight. We're going to learn all about building your real estate business over the next month. Right, every day we'll talk about the first 2 weeks, spark about tools, tricks, strategies to help you set appointments. Next 2 weeks, we'll have the elements, tools, tips, and strategies to help you convert those appointments into contracts, into paychecks. Goal of the day, to add 10 contacts every day, to have 10 conversations every day, and to write 10 handwritten notes. And then preview homes. Guys, what's the best time to preview homes? What do you guys think?
Realtor?
Yeah, absolutely. Broker tour. That way you get to preview homes and probably have lunch all at the same time. I would say on your home preview journeys, guys, during the broker tour, if you have clients that you're previewing for, obviously you want to hit those needs up and preview those homes. But I also recommend having some fun and taking a look at 1 or 2 luxury homes, even if you don't have luxury clients. And the reason why I like to say that is, number one, luxury homes have the best lunch. Right? Go out, take a look at a house, have a little sandwich, have a little coffee. A lot of times agents fancier the house, the more all out they go. But they need to get people in. Right, so, and the luxury homes have some cool conversational pieces that you can share with your perspective, with your prospect. And I'm going to tell you this, I mean, everything is a perspective, guys. If you're hanging out with people that think, you know, a Ferrari is expensive, it is. But I tell you guys, there's a lot of people in this world that don't think Ferraris are expensive at all. Find those people. Hopefully that made sense. Just as there'll be people that will tell you that the prices are very expensive, there are people out there that view that we have a great value and opportunity out there. You've got to find those people. Questions or concerns, guys? We're almost done for the day. I'm about to let you guys go out into the real world. But some of the scripts that you want to seek out and memorize and learn, and we will definitely be touching more and more and more on these things throughout the next couple of weeks. But there's scripts you want to learn for lead generating, there's scripts you want to learn for uncovering people's motivations, for helping identify objections, for closing deals. You also want to speak in terms the customer understands. A lot of times you get into a business, you learn all the little acronyms, and you speak the inside speak. Make sure the people you're speaking to understand your inside speak. And scripts build confidence, guys. If you know what to say, you say it better. The more you practice it, the better you get at saying it. The better you get at saying it, the greater your results will be. Right? And the greater your results, the more money you'll make. So there are scripts in your Ignite toolkit. I would challenge you guys to pick one that's relevant to you and your current business and spend 30 minutes trying to master it. Most of it is understanding the conversation flow. After you master the conversation flow, then you can focus on specific dialogues to help. Neuro-linguistic programming, those embedded commands that are in some scripts. We'll talk about those at those times. One other cool thing about calling your sphere of influence, guys, is you don't have to worry about the do not call list. If you're calling your sphere of influence, people that you care about that know you and like you, when you call them, they tell you they're on the do not call list. You have to reevaluate the strength of your database. Guys, that never happens. That was just a joke. You should never call someone you know and have them tell you that they're on the do not call list. Any questions, concerns about do not call list? There's a registry. Once you guys if you guys start making cold calls to telemarket, then we have to check up on that registry. Now, that only matters if you don't know the people and you're calling them cold. If you know them, it's okay to call them, and they know you, it's okay to call them.
Now,
If they responded to one of your ads, it's okay to call them. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so that's, you kind of answered part of that too. So I know there's a federal registry for the do not call list. But if we had a previous relationship or a business relationship and they're on the do not call list, we're still allowed to call, correct?
Yes.
So for example, they used us within the last year for a contractor or something and contacted us, and now they're on our call list, but they're on the do not call. We can still call them.
Yes.
As long as we had a business inquiry from them.
Correct.
And is there only, we're just using the federal do not call list, or
Correct.
Is there a separate one for KW?
We don't have, well, you have your own internal do not call list that you must maintain. That's part of the process, if you will. So you check the federal list if they're on if you're cold calling, like if you're circle prospecting. Let's say you got a listing and you want to call 100 neighbors around the listing, tell them about it. If you're calling those 100 neighbors, make sure they're not on the do not call list. If you're calling the 100 names on your phone book, go ahead and call them. You don't have to worry about it. If you call people and they say, we no longer wish to get calls from you, you have to track that.
Is there a tool, say for our own list?
You can use Excel.
Okay.
To create the list. You can use, I mean, you can put a note in command, do not call this person.
Got you, like a tag or something.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And that's the bottom one there, honor consumer requests, right? Someone says, hey, dude, you're cool and all, but I don't want to hear from you anymore. Please honor that. Because then if you do call them after they told you not to, then you're in violation. All right. Any questions, concerns about the materials we covered today? Hopefully I give you guys a pretty good overview of what there is to expect the next few weeks. Hopefully you're excited about your career still and are anxious about getting out there and making your calls. Because that's what this business is. Talking to people. Gotta be excited about it. All right. All right, guys. Well, we've been yapping for over 2 hours now. I'm sure you're tired. I'm tired of yapping. We've had our session. If you guys have any questions or concerns, you can always feel free to reach out. Otherwise, we'll see you guys tomorrow, 9 a.m. I won't be teaching tomorrow. I'll be back on Wednesday. So I'll see you guys on Wednesday.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for joining me today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mark.
Thanks. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Well, I'm glad you guys are still awake. All right. All right, guys. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. We'll see you guys on Wednesday, or we'll see you come to the class tomorrow. Who's teaching tomorrow, Jackie? I don't have the calendar in front of me.
Tomorrow, let me check. 5 seconds. We have Santa Clara Valley's team leader,
Laura.
Laura. She will be presenting tomorrow, I believe, on lead generation.
Awesome.
So be a good.
Laura
It'll
is
be a
a
good
master of
session.
lead gen. She's very good. Guys, you're gonna have a great session tomorrow. So please
Awesome.
come on in. And just real quick before we forget, there's a couple of direct message questions. Harish asked if we want to preview homes that are for sale on the MLS, and I say yes. You want to preview homes that are for sale on the MLS? Absolutely. It's interesting right now, guys, because our inventory is so low that we don't have a huge amount of homes to preview for buyers. I know when I got into this business, let me put it this way. There are, between condos, townhomes, and single family homes, maybe 1,400 units on the market in the county. Okay, there should be about 5,000. When the market was kind of slow in 08, 09 and kind of tanking, we had over 10,000. So 10 times the inventory that we have now. In those days, if you had a buyer, they tell you what you want, there could be 12 to 15 potential homes for them to see over the weekend. And you don't want to see, you can't show that many houses, but you can preview that many houses. When you preview a house, you're going to go through it. It'll take you 2 or 3 minutes. When you're showing a house and someone's really evaluating that house, that's a 15 to 20 minute showing, right? If you're showing a house and you're out of there in 2 or 3 minutes, I can assure you that client is not buying that house. But if they, if they walked around, felt comfortable, 20, 30 minutes, it's a different thing. So yeah, previewing. When we had more, we preview so that we could eliminate 12 and show the best 3. So hopefully we'd have, a successful weekend of showing. And these days, because our inventory is so low, there may only be 3, right? So we may show them all 3. Still important to preview so that you can have an understanding of what's in the market. And a lot of times, pictures will give you one story, but really you want to be in the house to get the feeling for the flow and the floor plan. Because you'll see it when you get in the business and you start pricing and evaluating properties. You'd be like, wow, this house looks so great. Why is it so cheap and it hasn't sold in 3 weeks? And you go there and you look around, you're like, I know why it hasn't sold. It smells like dog crap or whatever, right? Things that you don't get from the pictures. So it's important to preview. And the smell is so important. It's not weird. No one wants to smell bad things all day. Like if your listing does not smell good, it's not going to sell. Unless it's to an investor for a low price. But that's not why they hire us. That's why they hire somebody else. They hire us because they want more money. That's what we do. All right, guys. Thank you all. Have a great Monday. Make some calls so that you have some challenges you can get with Laura tomorrow and have good questions for her. Right? If you call 4 or 5 people, have some good conversations, see how those go, and then report back tomorrow. See with Laura, we'll help you overcome any of those objections you weren't able to overcome. And then we'll do it again on Wednesday with me. All right. Thanks, guys.
Mark, quick question.
Oh, question. Yes.
Circle dialing. What's the best way to get the numbers for that? Is it the title company or?
Yes.
Okay.
Your title rep will give you your farms, and they used to give them, well, I think it's based on the information. If you want the cell phone number and the email address of those people you want, it'll cost you maybe a few cents per record, maybe 50 cents a record. But it's better to get that accurate record for 50 cents than to not have it.
Cool. Thank you so much.
And those guys, and with those, when you pay for it, you might get the cell phone number. So you actually be able to get and reach the people. Whereas the old method would just give you their home phone numbers. I don't even answer my home phone. I don't know who not without screening first. So it's good to pay for the cell phone.
Cool. And then maybe this is a small tangent, but is there services that you can just leave a voicemail with that just delivers the voicemail? Okay.
Absolutely. Voice broadcast, yes.
Voice broadcast. Awesome.
And it will. They'll call and they'll leave a message. If someone answers the phone, it'll just say, oh, sorry, wrong number. If they don't answer the phone, it goes to their voicemail. It'll leave your marketing message. Yep.
Awesome.
Who does that and who does it well? I don't know off the top of my head. You have to research, but I do know they do exist.
Cool. Thanks, Mark.
Any other questions or concerns for the good of the order? For the good of the agent? For the good of me? All right. Thanks, guys. I appreciate y'all very much.
Have a good one, Mark.
We'll see you around.